Now, in today's video, we're taking a look at a very capable electric bike that is packed with power and it supports two riders, as you can see here. We're taking a look at the Freego Shotgun F2, which is a very capable bike that can ride up to two riders. So Noel and I riding on this and seeing well over 25 miles an hour, which is absolutely fantastic. This bike has a 1200 watt peak motor. It's going to go anywhere from 25 to 40 miles based on the actual, again, the passengers that are riding on it, the speed and everything that's going on with this bike. Speeds are 15 and above. And I'll say 15 and above because I've been able to see riding on this bike all the way up to 27 or 30 miles an hour. Nola, being lighter than I am, was able to get even beyond that, right? So it's all going to depend on the rider and your weight. It's a single speed bike, which means that there's no shifting gears at all. Basically, you're pedaling and it goes. But even though you're pedaling, you're going to be able to hit well over 25 miles an hour with this bike. The F2 Pro does have a 7-gear Shimano system, but this one we have is not the actual Pro. It has suspension everywhere. We're talking hydraulic suspension in the front. It does not have what they would call a hardtail ride. Hardtail is where the back of the bike basically doesn't have any kind of shocks at all. It actually has shocks in a specific area in the back that give you really a delicious ride when you're riding this bike. So you have hydraulics in the front and also hydraulics in the back. You also then have you have USB charging port. So that USB charging port is going to be great for you to be able to charge your phone as you're riding the bike because it does come with an included, I would say, phone mount. It has 20x4 fat tires. It's waterproof front bag also, which is really nice that it comes with to just store things. It has two saddles that you're going to notice. One, which is your primary saddle, and then you have a secondary saddle for someone who's riding with you with pegs on the bottom that allow that second rider to ride comfortably. Total max capacity, check this out, 330 pounds. 330 pounds of max capacity. Between Noel and I, we don't even get close to that. So we can carry, we could take both of us, and it could also take some groceries too. 5'3" all the way to 6'4", and it's going to support, or the weight of the unit is 72 pounds. So large bike, great features, a lot of power, and it's fun because two can ride. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the bike, and we'll go on a ride. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to take a look at on the Freego are the tires. So you basically have 4-inch wide, 20-inch tires on the bike. Now, the tires are going to be great for all terrain. So if you're thinking about snow, sand, dirt, gravel, or city commuting, these are going to do fine. One of the things that you're also going to notice is this is a single gear system. So it doesn't have a shifting system like a Shimano 7-speed. You do get this in the Pro, but this is not the Pro version, so you have a single one. Now, the interesting thing about this is that I noticed that as I'm pedaling on this, the speeds, I'm reaching speeds well above 25 miles an hour with very little effort. So the pedaling is kind of cruising. And I would say this is not a bike that's really designed to pedal, but it's one that's designed to ride. Now, the other thing that you'll notice right there are those, I would say, support pegs, if we want to call it that. Those support pegs are for a second person. Noel and I have ridden on this, and I've been able to go fast, like over 25 miles an hour. She and I both on the bike at the same time, and we'll see that in the video. The pegs here on the side come out really nice. This is where you would put your feet. The one thing I will say about this is as we were riding it together, we find that the pegs, unfortunately, sometimes close by mistake. So just the angle on them is a little bit weird, I would say. Just be careful about that. This bike has a great ride. And you can see right here, you have one of the shocks for the rear. It's not a hardtail as it's known. It's actually a soft tail because of the suspension that you have there. You notice here, again, your battery as well as your again, your pedaling area, which, like I said, you're probably not going to do much of. And then you hear the battery, and the battery is pretty substantial. The battery has a flip switch to turn it on, and it also has here a USB charging cable that you can use to charge your device as you're riding with it because it does come with the phone holder. In the front of the bike, you can see that you have, again, another disc system as well as your hydraulic fork. You have a real nice, generous front headlight that is really bright, very motorcycle reminiscent as well. The fenders, worry-free, and these are plastic, which I really like. I don't like the metal ones because metal tends to rust. Now, this has a really interesting saddle. So you'll notice here, you have, this is for the primary rider. This is for the secondary rider. Nolda's been riding here, been riding up in front. And this could be switched with the trunk, or it could also have a basket model that they have. The display here is very bright, so you can see all the details of what's going on here. I have a really ridden far. We just got this bike in. We're going to go on another ride. But so far, the experience has been really positive. You can see the brakes themselves on each side. They are not hydraulic brakes, but, they do work well. Now, for those of you curious about the headlamp, is it bright? It is bright. You can see what's going on there. This is super duper bright. We'll pull away from it. And as we get closer, you can see how bright that is. So people are going to see you when you're coming. Now, it has this really nice travel pouch that if you open this up, this is also water resistant, that you can put some stuff in there. I really like this because you use up the space that you have here. Because if not, you basically have this as a loose area. So it's really nice to have that little compartment there. On this side, you do have the key for your battery. This is just for removal. It doesn't really impact turning it on or off. On the bottom here, you do have a marker. You'll just says it kind of looks like the Wonder Woman logo, but it's here lit up nicely. And when you hit the brake, it does light up further. All right, guys. So today we are out on the Freego F2 electric bike. And today we have a special guest riding, would that be considered a shotgun in the back? I don't know. I got Nilda with me because the biker chick, because this bike can support 2 passengers. Who would have known? So, fantastic bike. Let's talk about the specs and then we'll go over the ride experience. One standout feature, as you can see right here, is the fact that we can have 2 people riding this bike. So Nilda's in the back. It has an extended saddle that you can use for a second rider. It also then has an optional cargo trunk or a basket that you can have in the back. This bike has almost, I would say up to, I think it's 1,200 watts peak power. Depends on the model. 960 and up is what I'll say, depending on which one you get, because there's a pro version as well. This is not the pro version. This, as you can see, I can actually pedal, but I would say that this is not a pedal bike. This is more of a electric bike that's more like designed to be ridden the way you see me riding it right here. Now, like I mentioned, I can actually pedal, and if I'm pedaling right now, the speedometer is saying that I'm getting about 14 miles an hour just pedaling. But you can see even at my height, I'm 5'6", almost 5'7". I always like pointing that out, especially because Nilda's here. I'm a little bit taller, not that short. But you can see that my legs probably are coming up a little bit higher than I'd like, but they claim that this bike will support someone up to 6'3", I believe. Now, the cool thing about this bike is that it can go all the way up to 330 pounds max cargo. And clearly, Nilda and I together are not anywhere clear to that. So we're pretty light when it comes to total body weight. Now, this bike does have 20-inch, 4-inch wide tires. Really comfy to ride, and it has a lot of shock options. So you basically have shocks in the back, one main shock, and that shock is going to give you really nice ride experience. So it's not what they call a hardtail, but a soft tail. It has, and you can see it right here on the sides. It's like right there, and it's really doing a nice job of keeping things pretty comfy. Nilda, how does it feel back there? It's comfortable, right? All right, nice. Then it has the front fork that it has as well. Now, the Pro version has, I believe, hydraulic brakes. This does not have the hydraulic brake system. It has standard brakes, but they're very responsive as well. Now, you do have multiple power modes, and I believe it goes up to 5. Let's double check that. Yeah, it looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. So it has some bars that you can look at and power things up. Now, one of the things I'm really impressed about this bike is the fact that despite that Nilda and I are on this together, this thing hauls. Like literally right now, I'm seeing 23 miles an hour for 2 people is pretty impressive. And actually, it's even clocking at 25. Would have never expected it to go this high. Actually saying 26 now, 26.6. And I think we could even hit 27, which that's what the speedometer is saying. 2 people at 27 miles an hour is pretty impressive. And I'm telling you, this bike is a looker. Everybody's looking at us. Now, the looky, we don't know if it's because we look cool or because they're saying like, dang, what do those people ride? Those people are riding an e-bike. So definitely this bike looks like it is a retro bike, motorcycle. Now, there are a lot of cars parked because we have, this is 4th of July, July 4th, and there are a lot of people who are out taking advantage of the fireworks coming on later tonight. We're probably going to make it out tonight on our bike because guess what? We can. So
what we're going to do is we're going to do a speed test in a couple minutes, check out how well the cameras are doing, and see how fast we're going on this bike. We'll talk about also a little bit more about the handling, so we can explain what our experience is. But so far, this bike is a definite buy for 1 or 2 riders. Now we're going to go ahead and see, we're pulling out, seeing what kind of speed we can get up to. It's right now clocking at 19 miles an hour, 19, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 24. 24 miles is what we're able to get. We'll see how well we do on the speed test. Now, one thing about the bike is that it has worry-free fenders. They are plastic. You don't have to worry about them getting corroded in any way. They're pretty nice. It has a very generous headlight. And then I think, Nilda, you said that the actual brake looks like it's a Wonder Woman logo, right? So it has like really cool brake light, very, very bright. And what I like about this is that the steering, if you look at the handlebar here, it rides really high up. So I don't find myself leaning forward, which I appreciate because I do ride, and we have reviewed a lot of bikes that look like this, that look like the motorcycles, and you have to lean forward. Now, on the side of this bike, you do have a very generous display that is telling you your speed, power, battery, miles. You do have a bell, and it is loud. Check that out. Loud. And the actual speed, to give it speed, and look at, we're hitting 28 miles an hour. The 29, I can't believe that, 29.5, 29.8. I think we could probably even hit 30 on this. So now we're going to do our actual speed test. We're going to see how accurate the actual speed on the bike is compared to the camera. One of the things I'll mention about this is that it does have a twist throttle. It's not a thumb throttle, it's on the side. So I'd be very careful with this bike because if you have it in any power mode, 1, 2, or 3, you're going to run into difficulties. It may just take off, so make sure you set it at 0. Right now we're hitting 26 miles an hour, 26.6, 26.7. And let's see how fast it's going to pick us up. And it says it's 24. So there's a couple mile difference, 24 versus 27 on the clock. Now, as we ride through the bumpy side, as Nilda says, one of the things I'll highlight is that, we've been on pavement and then also on dirt and grass on this, and with 2 people. It does have good torque, right? So it's able to shift between the 2 different terrains without a problem. I will say that for me, the saddle is comfortable. It is firm though, so it's a firm saddle, but I kind of prefer the firm saddle. So I ride, on a daily basis, my Peloton-like bike for, the classes. So I like firm saddles. So this is definitely a firm saddle. And also then what I like is the overall responsiveness is not overpowering. So what do I think about the bike? I think that the Freego F2, and I can't imagine that the F2 Pro is going to even be more powerful, are definitely buys, especially if you're looking for a bike that looks like something like this. And if you're looking to be able to carry a second passenger as effortlessly as this bike is, because this is effortless, and the suspension is just fantastic, right? So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.